And breaking news from far northern California, the largest wildfire burning in the state right now, growing nearly 50,000 acres overnight, destroying much of the town of Greenville, leaving little behind but burning ash and metal. And tonight we are hearing from officials concerned about getting people out in time. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Wade. The Dixie Fire is threatening homes and lives, and that's not the only fire putting emergency crews on high alert tonight. We have team coverage on the wildfires burning across California tonight. ABC 10's Kurt Rivera has more from what is left of the town of Greenville. Jock Maluka is talking to evacuees about those last-minute evacuations from the Dixie Fire. And Luke Clary is on the river fire that's caused thousands of evacuations overnight in Placer County. But first, we do want to begin with the Dixie Fire. Here is the latest. This has destroyed the gold rush town of Greenville. The fire is now 35% contained after scorching more than 322,000 acres in 4 counties. Lassen National Park is also shut down because of the fire. And ABC 10's Kurt Rivera is joining us in the newsroom from the latest of Greenville, which was nearly destroyed in just hours. Kurt.
Yeah, it's very sad to say the least. My colleagues Monica Coleman and photographer Andrea Escatini just got back from Greenville. The images they captured are stunning, chronicling the destruction and what's left behind of the Sierra Mountain town. Main Street, Greenville, and the Dixie Fire left behind little that survived in its path. The Way Station Bar Wednesday afternoon reduced to just a wall standing the next day. The Sierra Lodge at the corner of Highway 89 and Main Street, complete devastation. Some structures survived, the high school and the Dollar General store. But just 100 feet away, a different story. Home after home burned to the ground. Cars literally a shell of themselves. The fire so hot, it melted the metal into a winding stream. This home, the chimney, is the only thing still standing. Just south of Greenville, the next town of Crescent Mills, Ginger Rehill plans to stay behind and protect her cafe.
The winds are picking up again this afternoon, and so you just don't know where the winds are going to take it, so it's a little concerning as well.
And her plan to find shelter in a concrete slab in an old mill while being protected by firefighters. Madison?
Oh, those images are truly stunning and devastating. Kurt, thank you. And ABC 10's Giacomo Luca is live in Quincy tonight with the latest on the Dixie Fire. And Giacomo, you've talked to a lot of people who have evacuated, wondering what is left of their home and businesses.
Well, Madison, these stories are truly tragic and something that obviously none of us would ever want to have to go through. Many of these folks were forced to evacuate with just moments' notice, then have been forced to jump from evacuation shelter to evacuation shelter, some for weeks at a time. To remind you, that Dixie Fire broke out in mid-July and has been threatening communities here for weeks, including the town of Greenville, which this massive plume of smoke is now covering. And it's being watched anxiously by those who fled here for refuge as they wait for answers.
It just got, like the saying goes, all hell broke loose.
Greenville's David Rudd has watched for weeks as flames from the Dixie Fire exploded, decimating the community he calls home.
With all these winds that gusted the last few days, it just threw the fire from one ridge to another.
Like so many in rural Plumas County, he's been bouncing from shelter to shelter as the Dixie Fire exploded to become the state's largest active wildfire, now topping 320,000 acres.
It's the mountains, and it's relaxing, comforting.
The Dixie Fires robbed the solace the town of Greenville once gave to 68-year-old Janet Thrall, who's been living out of a trailer for days, not knowing if her neighbors made it to safety or if she has a home still standing.
I'm healthy, whatever, and start over. So it'll be hard, but I'll manage.
As wildfire survivors watch and wait for answers, many remain positive and are giving thanks to the nearly 5,000 firefighters and other first responders brave enough to take on Mother Nature at her worst. Now, we all certainly hope and pray that that is not true that the fires will continue to stop. Meanwhile, there's no word yet from officials when it's going to be safe enough for folks to return home.
Giacomo, so many people on edge tonight wondering what is left. Of course, we'll update you all once those evacuation orders have been lifted. It may be some time. Giacomo, thanks, live in Quincy tonight for us. We're also learning many people did not heed evacuation orders, which then puts firefighters in danger. U.S. Forest Operations Chief Jake Cagle released a very powerful statement saying, when I talk about people not evacuating, I'm not trying to blame the people, but when our resources have to load up people, that takes us away from the fire. Firefighters are getting guns pulled on them because people do not want to evacuate. We have to take care of life threat. That's our mission, and that is what we are going to do. Very tense situation up at the Dixie Fire. Let's get things over to meteorologist Tracy Humphrey tracking the latest on our weather.
Yeah, right, Madison. We're going to kind of carve out what's going to be happening with the Dixie Fire this evening as well as tonight. And we're also looking at that red flag warning. It will expire at 9 o'clock tonight. But what happens in between now and then will mean everything. So here's a look at the red. This is the shading, all the areas that we are concerned about. We're going to be moving into the Dixie Fire. Here it is right here. It is right smack in the middle of that red flag warning. And here's a look at some of the conditions. Gusty winds expected up to 20 miles per hour until around 8 o'clock tonight. That means that the winds are going to be driven yet again to the north as well as to the northeast. That's toward the Susanville area. And as we move in a little bit closer, you can see where that fire has been and where it's heading. So it's just on the outside of Chester here. You can see the winds pushing again to the northern end of Lake Almanor, and you can see it also heading in toward the Westwood area. Now that's what's happening with the Dixie Fire. Coming up, we're going to take a closer look at the River Fire. Where is it headed and for how long in just a few moments.
All right, Tracy, thank you. Wind really is everything right now in this firefight. Well, while the River Fire is much smaller, it forced thousands from their homes, many who are still waiting to return. The River Fire is not contained after burning 2,400 acres through a neighborhood near Colfax. More than 40 structures, mostly homes, have been destroyed and at least 20 others damaged after it started yesterday afternoon and then just quickly took off. Now we're also learning Placer County officials are asking people who live there to not only use water for essential tasks, and if they evacuate, to turn the water off. This is all in an effort to have firefighters use that water that they need most. ABC 10's Luke Clary spoke with evacuees coming home for the first time, experiencing, Luke, a wide range of emotions.
Hi, Madison, and in fact, I'm standing in front of one of several homes on Wildwood Lane in Colfax that has been completely destroyed. Take a look at what is left of this home, and in particular I want you to look at those columns, because right now we're going to bring up an image of what this house looked like just weeks ago. It was a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,800 square foot home with beautiful views of the Bear River from that back deck, and of course home to so many memories. But back out here to me live, many families will be returning to their homes and lives intact, but so many others will be coming home to scenes much like this one.
Well, I'm thinking that better get out of there.
With flames in the distance, this video shows us the final moments Frank Robinson would ever spend at his home on Wildwood Lane.
It was a single story up on stilts, and it had a U.S. flag hanging, and a great view of Bear River. And but better than that, my neighbors.
Now, most of his neighbors will return to scenes like this one as the smoke clears from the river fire.
Well, it's completely gone. And all our neighbors, great neighbors, they're leveled. So.
Meanwhile, the Myers and their dogs just rented a house on nearby Pineview Drive.
The fire kicked in on the 4th, so just moving in.
Trying to remain calm as they await a sheriff's escort back home for medication and clothes.
From the reports I've heard through your news station, which has had the best coverage as far as I know, has been,
Oh, we're next.
Yep.
Sorry.
All right.
Not knowing what they'll find when they get home, nerves running high.
Yes, underwear. Oh my God.
How good does it feel to see your home still standing?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
We had our concerns.
But they know not everyone is so lucky.
Anyway, it's tough. But hey, we're fine. So, I mean, that's what counts.
And for the families who return home to scenes like this one, we were speaking with the owner. They now face a very difficult choice, the decision whether to rebuild here or to move on. This owner said that they haven't really gotten around to making those decisions just yet.
Well, Luke, a lot of people in shock tonight, but definitely having those positive outlooks as they look to the days and weeks ahead. Luke Clary live for us tonight on the River Fire. Thank you.